Let's welcome Rod Cunningham.
First of all, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'd like to say to my wife, thank you for being here, and thank you for 28 years of marital bliss. I appreciate you and I love you. And my aunt, she's also here to support, so I appreciate them being here. Well, good, is it morning or afternoon? Well, good morning. It's beautiful to see your faces out here this morning. I am glad that you're here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. By the way, that is me. I had hair 7 months ago. And so I had to switch it up a little bit. So, you know, when you shave your head, then you have to grow a beard. You grow a beard, then you have to do some push-ups. Right? So I had to change the whole little game. Now my wife got me wearing sneakers and jackets, and you know, she dressed me, by the way. So there you go. First thing I like to do is I like to make sure that I'm in the right room. I like to make sure that I'm talking to the right people. Because speakers can get up here and you sit out there and go, he ain't talking to me. I don't know what he's talking about. So I need to find out if I'm talking to the right crowd, if you're in the right room. So how do we do that? I need to know, first of all, what you have in common with one another. Sir, what do you have in common with this gentleman next to you?
I think we both have a passion for being successful as minorities.
All right, they have the same passion. Sir, what do you have in common with the lady behind you?
We're sitting in this room right now.
We're sitting in the room right now. Good. So what I want to do is I want to find out what we have in common at the heart level. We can strip away all that other stuff and find out what do we have in common at the heart level. Because before I can talk to you about your mindset and your thinking, we got to deal with the heart first, because the heart will make your mind foggy. And you're like, why do I have foggy brains sometimes? It's matters of the heart. So we're going to figure out what you have in common in this room at the heart level. So what I want everyone to do is I need everyone to please stand. Everyone standing. Everyone in the room. Now, I'm going to throw 4 rocks. You like, dude, right? You like, man, I'm in the front row, really? I'm going to throw 4 virtual rocks. If the rock hits you, I want you to sit down, stay down, and look around and see who you have that in common with at the heart level. All right, ready? First rock. If your biological parents ever divorced or were never married, have a seat. Your biological parents ever divorced or were never married, have a seat. Now look around and see who you have that in common with at the heart level. Okay? This is what parental abandonment looks like. This is what parental abandonment looks like. Second rock. If somebody passed away who you truly love, have a seat. Look around and see who you have that in common with at the heart level. I see 4 people still standing. Seems like, first of all, that I'm in the right place and that y'all in the right place. Because I said, I want to see if I'm in the right place to talk about what I'm going to talk about. And obviously I am, because we have a lot in common at the heart level. All right, so this is what loss looks like. Now, the gentleman in the top, your left, he's burying his wife, and the gentleman behind him is burying his mother. You see those emotions on their faces? Where does that go 30 days later? 6 months later? 5 years later? Where are those emotions? Do they just go away? Because they'll say in a minute, I'm good. Oh, I lost my wife 5 years ago, but I'm good. No, you're not. You have to deal with it. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to deal with it. Okay? Rock number 3, sit down if you've ever experienced trauma. For those who are still standing, If you've ever experienced trauma, like a bad car accident, you saw your father strike your mother, you were touched inappropriately, anything like that, have a seat. All right, we have 2 still standing. Yes, sir. No, it can be emotional trauma, most definitely. All right, so we have 1 person still standing after I threw 3 rocks. By the way, this is what trauma looks like. Last rock is called rejection. If you were ever bullied, if you are a person of color and the system or you've been systematically rejected in America, have a seat. Also, everybody's seated, by the way, but also rejection is your first relationship that didn't work out. You're 16, she's 16, you give your heart to her, she gives her heart back, you all in love. Parents, what do we call that? Puppy love. But to a 16-year-old, it feels so real. And you really think you're going to marry this person and life is going to be grand. 6 months later, not only is the heart connection broken, but they're going out with your best friend. I said that the other day, the lady said, that sounds personal. You okay, bro? I said, I'm okay. I'm okay. Right? So that is rejection. This is what rejection looks like. Why am I not good enough? Why don't they like me? Why don't they just leave me alone? Why don't you love me? So what I just showed you were the 4 areas that causes emotional pain or decline. Now, I like to look, well, first of all, there's a warning at the bottom of those 4 things: parental abandonment, loss of a loved one, trauma, and rejection. The warning says, unresolved, any of these areas can lead to a lifetime of stress, anger, anxiety, or depression. A lifetime if you don't do something about it. I want you to think about it, and I need your attention right now with what I'm about to say. So if you're writing, I need you to stop writing. You might even want to pull out your cameras and record what I'm getting ready to say, because you're going to be able to use this. It's going to be a big deal. It's going to make so much sense. We all carry an emotional bucket. And every rock that you were hit with, or every one of these 4 areas, parental abandonment, loss of a loved one, trauma, and rejection, it starts to fill up your bucket. I was hit by 4 rocks by the time I was 10 years old. So what does that look like? Depression, right? Bipolarism. But many of us never get a diagnosis, so we just walk around slapping people. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Pop! Right in the nose, right? And so that bucket does not just empty by itself. You don't wake up 20 years later and go, oh yeah, those things happened to me, but I'm good. Pop. Pop means right in the nose, right? Or, I'm good. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I just like a little weed. That's what they tell me. Right? Ain't nothing wrong though. I'm good. My bucket ain't full. Yes, it is. You cussing out people on the streets that cut you off. Going in. You're not even going to remember this 10 minutes later. But yeah, you done blew a gasket. You have a full bucket, boo. A full bucket. So now what do? You have to empty that bucket. Right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to empty that bucket. Because if you don't empty the bucket, guess what happens? A brick that's waiting around the corner, it's going to come into your bucket and splash into your bucket, and your emotions are going to splash everywhere. What is that brick? Well, mama's got to go one day. She's going to leave here one day. Daddy's going to leave here one day. Grandma gonna leave here one day. That may be the brick that goes into your full bucket. I want you to understand that suicide is not a one-off event. Suicide is a full bucket with the brick that came in and you said, I just can't do this no more. I can't. I'm done. I was 46 years old when my mom passed away. My mom had me at the age of 15. I grew up in the projects in Jacksonville, Florida. Duval. Right? So my mom had me at the age of 15. My biological father died before I was born, 2 weeks before I was born, racing cars. My mom got remarried. I was about 2. She was 17, he was 24, he was very abusive. I used to see him throw her against the table and break the kitchen table. And then when I walked outside to tell my little friend, why are you crying? Because my daddy beat my mama. Then the neighbor hears it and she goes and tells my mama. And my mama beats me and says, what goes on in the house? Man, y'all ain't got no whoopings too? And so that's what we're dealing with. So we don't talk. We let it stay all in the house. We can't say anything. What would they think of us? So a lot of us are walking around hurting and we never emptied our bucket. So we're going to empty that bucket today, all right? So what negative choices do you make when you're highly stressed? She's smoking weed, by the way. What negative choices do you make when you're highly stressed? So since we have a lot of young people in here, for my older people who raised their hand, I want to know what you did when you were 21. So don't tell me what you do now. Oh yeah, I pray. I read the Bible. You do that now, but you was when you were 21. Let's talk about it, right? Let's be open about it. All right? We have come a long way, us distinguished gentlemen, but we weren't always distinguished. All right? So, somebody tell me, what did you do when you were highly stressed at 21, sir? Drinking and womanizing. Did you know that cheating is a mental health issue? Cheating. If you cheat on someone, what you're doing is saying, I know I'm 30, but my dad died when I was 10, and I really miss him, and it's been 20 years, and you're like, get over it. Are you still talking about your dad? Fine. My dad. And you're like, come right here. Right here, lay your head right here. Right? So people start seeking comfort in other women just like they do alcohol or drugs, or other men just like they do with alcohol or drugs. So that's why cheating is a mental health issue. You empty the bucket, they have no need to go for comfort. They have no need to seek out someone else to give them that comfort. Right? Yes, sir. What did you do at 21? Drinking and hanging out on the corner with the homeboys. Because y'all understand me, right? We go way back. Yes, ma'am. Smoking cigarettes. What were you smoking?
Black and Mild.
Black and Miles. Okay. So we picked up that smoking as that habit of stress. You know how you stress out? Give me a cigarette. Somebody, give me a drink. Give me a cigarette. Give me something. Yes, sir. Overeating. Yes. Yes, chips and chocolate. Just give me some chips and chocolate. I'm just dealing with something right now. Right? Yes. Isolation, shutting down, shutting out. If you do that as you get older and your teenage daughter's like, Daddy, and right now Daddy's shutting down. Well, I'm going to go to Bobo. He won't shut me out. Hey, Bobo. Well, girl, I'll be your daddy. Call me daddy. Because your daddy been shutting you out. I know, I understand. So y'all be careful with the shutdown. I know people shut down and go, well, I ain't bothering nobody. But you're not loving on your children like they need, and they're going to go out and find it somewhere else. Yes, ma'am. Oh, you. Anger. So what do? Do you punch pillows, punch people, the wall? Scream, yell. Okay, so let's go to the list. Let's go to the list. Go shopping or overspending. Right? We call that retail therapy. And my wife is over there like, do not tell that story about retail therapy. I'm going to tell it, y'all. I'm going to tell it. One day my wife, her frequency was real low. And she was just like, babe, it's just one of those days. And she was moping around the house with a low frequency of about a 4. Oh, and I'm going to talk about frequency later. Like all day. Around 4 o'clock, she came in. She says, honey, because I work from home. Honey, I just want you to, can you just take me out? Let's go to get some dinner and maybe, sit at the beach or something. And I said, okay, I can do that. And then a lady from her favorite store texts her that her purse was in. And she says, honey, my purse is here. Don't you want to buy this for me? And I said, yeah, baby, I'll take it. And she jumped up and did her hair, and we were on the way. I'm like, what just happened? Retail therapy. She felt so much better when her purse came in. All right, so that's a real thing. I saw it in my own eyes. Some people hit people. Excessive video gaming. Go to sleep. Cry or isolate yourself. Drink alcohol. Yell, scream, and curse. Listen to explicit music. Eat junk food. Hang out with the wrong crowd. Pornography. Go to the bar, the club, or the casino. Steal or take things that don't belong to you. Smoke marijuana or cigarettes. Gossip. Or cheat on your significant other. This is what people do with a full bucket. When their bucket is full and then you add another stressor on top of that, that's where they go to. Right? So don't fire a person with a full bucket because that could be very destructive for them. I can't believe you fired me. Give me some weed. Right? Real talk. So the big domino here is high stress. We got to empty our buckets so that we can make good, positive choices for our lives. No matter a man's past, his future is spotless. No matter what you did yesterday, all the shenanigans you pulled, everything you did yesterday, today, you can wipe all of that away and you have a spotless future to be and do whatever you want to do in this life and contribute. So how do we empty this bucket? Right? How do we eliminate the stress in our lives and manage it? It's a mindset shift. We should be waking up every day like this. Beautiful day. It's like being on a frequency of a 10. Again, I'm going to explain frequency a little later. One good idea or one good decision can change your life forever. Just one good idea. I had a good idea. I'm going to join the Air Force. 30 years later, here I am. Right? There are 3 positive ways to interrupt negative thoughts. What do I mean by negative thoughts? When people hurt us, we get triggered through our senses. So, for instance, let's say that somebody fired you. Right? Because what I want you to understand is that those 4 areas that broke your heart, those 4 rocks you were hit with, the reason it hurts so much is because you can't control it. You have no control of your parents breaking up. You have no control of trauma or losing someone you love. You have no control over it. And that's why it hurts. So it's like a door that stays open. Our brains are constantly looking to close things out. That doesn't make sense. Why would you do that to me? I would never do that to you. It doesn't make sense. Help it make sense to me so I can close it out. So I can get past it. And so what happens is we have all these little doors that are open in our brains, 40 different doors that we can be triggered on at any time. A smell, a taste, right? Anything, something you heard. It reminds you of the guy that fired you, and now you're mad. It reminds you of when your dad walked away, and now you're mad. And the next person you see is going to get it. Get away from me. But I ain't even do nothing to you, bro. Oh, I'm sorry. I got triggered. I'm sorry. Well, what we want to do is we don't want to stay in a triggered state. So we're going to figure out how to interrupt these times when we're triggered. So you can do that through breathing exercises. You can do that through pattern interruption as well as self-care. So let's try the breathing exercise. So I want everyone to close your eyes. And we're going to take in 3 deep breaths. Breath number 1. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Breathe out. Last one, really deep. Breathe in. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Breathe out. Now put your right hand over your heart and listen for your heartbeat. Now open your eyes. What are you thinking about right now? Nothing, exactly. That is the idea. You just cleared the cache in your head. If you deal with any type of test anxiety, at that time you can take the test. So when you get in and you sit down and you're ready to take that test and all this stuff is going on in your head, just do those 3 deep breaths, clear the cache. You know how you hit the little button on the website and you have the whole website comes back? Yeah, you're going to refresh. And that's what that does. Right? So that's the pattern, that's the breathing exercises. A pattern interruption is like, I like to be silly, right? I'm an Omega, I hop up and down and bark. Roo. Okay, I got some frat brothers in here. Okay, good stuff. And so we can be very dignified 1 minute and we can be hopping around a parking lot somewhere the next minute, right? And so I like to do silly stuff. And so with the pattern interruption, I like to switch it with a song called Push It by Salt and Pepper. So whenever I'm triggered and something is like making my frequency go down, right? Making me sad, I'm like, I can't believe they did that to me. I just switch it. I say, switch it. Switch it. Switch it. Finish it up.
Push it.
Oh, there we go.
Push it real good.
All right, switch it real good. And guess what? Whatever was going on in my head, whatever I was triggered, it's not gone. I just interrupted that, right? Because it needs to be interrupted because it's not serving you at the moment. It's only making you sad or angry or depressed. So if the thought is not serving you, get rid of it by interrupting that thought. Pattern interruptions. Now, self-care. Oh my goodness. Self-care is so important. Self-care will get your mind right whenever you feel down. So my wife and I, if you heard me say this, frequency. The law of frequency. I study, you might want to write that down. Law of frequency and law of attraction. My wife and I study that, right? We watch the videos, The Secret, and different things like that often, probably 3 or 4 times a week. In other words, it takes work to live your best life. Believe it or not, you just don't wake up, oh, I'm living my best life. Wrong. You got to put the work in. And so, law of frequency. So, you would agree that very wealthy people and poor people, when they wake up, they see the world different. Same world. They just see different possibilities. You know, maybe the poor person wakes up and goes, oh, I got to go into work. I don't feel like it. I'm tired. The rich person say, well, how many lives can I change today? And by the way, how many millions would that make me? Right? They just look at the world different. So they're on 2 different frequencies. It's like rap music and jazz. They're on 2 different frequencies. Some people like rap, some people don't. They like jazz or they like rock, whatever their frequency connects with. You ever had somebody walk in the room and like, ooh, he makes my skin crawl. You're on the wrong frequency. You're not on the same frequency. They didn't say anything. They didn't touch you. You're just like, ooh, he's just putting off this aura that, I got to get out of here. It's a darkness that just walked in. Right? That's frequency. You're on different frequencies. And then there's a time when somebody walks in, you're like, dang. That's how I was when I met her. our frequency just connected. We were like on the same frequency, even though I was a project boy for the project from the hood, and she was that prissy little girl with, beautiful family, and everybody stayed together for 50 years. And yeah, that wasn't my story, but we still connected. We still connected, and we still connected right now, right? So what we try to do, my wife and I, we try to keep our frequency at a 10. Right? What does that look like? I wake up, good morning, baby. I'm checking her frequency. And she says, good morning, love. I'm like, okay. We at the same frequency. It's going to be a good day. That means I'm running around the house because I work from home. So I'm running the kitchen. I'm touching all on her. Yeah, I'm 54. I'm still touching on my lady. I'm going to be 74, still touching on her. Right? If I was touching on my 20s, I'm going to be touching on them in my 70s, in my 80s, right? That's what we do, especially when your frequency is high. But what happens is sometimes I may wake up at a 5 and she's at a 10. And if I don't raise my frequency to a 10 within the first 2 hours, what's going to happen? She's coming down, which is not good. And she's saying, well, what's wrong with you? Is everything okay? I'm fine, honey. I'm just having a mellow play. Well, the kids are coming over, and they're going to think you're mad at them. And I'm just like, oh, babe. She's like, if you don't get up and go out and get some sunshine on your head, right? Get some sunshine, because we're not made to be inside in those artificial lights. Get outside. So I'll get outside. I'll get in the car. I have a convertible, so I'll just let the sun hit me, drive the Publix and back, and feel better, right? Or I'll go and work out, right? I have my gym in the house, so I'll go and work out in the gym. That raises my frequency. Now I love music too, right? I'm actually, what's the music I listen to mostly? Huh? Gospel, and what else? Anita Baker. A little old school Anita, right? She just puts me in this like, woo, yeah, I can get some work done, right? But when I'm working out, I'm listening to 2 Live Crew. I told y'all I'm from Duval now. I done told y'all, don't let the smooth taste fool you, right? I grew up on that, right? So I'm listening to that. So when I'm working out, I'm getting a little bit of that. Then I get in my office, I got a little Anita, and I start singing, and the singing brings up my frequency. And then within about an hour, I'm back in the kitchen. Hey, babe, what you do? Oh, I see your frequency done come up. Good, right? So we work on it. That's my point. I can stay at a 5, and the whole house just be like, yeah, hey, baby, what's up, baby? We just dragging all day, not getting anything done. And when you operate at a frequency of a 10, when you walk into a room, people say, who are you? You got something. You somebody. I can just feel the energy coming off you. I just need to meet you. You got a card. What do you do? Right? If people are running from you, that might mean you're draining or bringing their frequency down. So you bring your frequency up by doing this every day. Not just when you feel bad, every day. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to teach you the 5 steps to emotional wellness. So this is where the money is. This is where the money is. You need to learn the 5 steps to emotional wellness. These are the 5 spigots that we're going to put in our buckets and drain that bucket. So that when the brick comes in, and that brick, again, for you new people, a brick represents the death of a loved one, like mom or grandma. If that comes into your already full emotional bucket, it's going to splash your emotions everywhere, and you may even have suicidal thoughts. Okay, so we don't want that, so we want to drain the bucket, so when the brick comes in, it comes into an empty bucket. And it just rattles around, and then eventually we'll drain that out. Make sense? All right, so here we go. This is what we're going to do. The first spigot to drain your bucket, you got to deal with your spirituality. You got to figure out who you are that is good at the core. Even when you do stupid and silly stuff and make poor choices, there's still a good person in the center of who you are. We want to focus in on that. And so spirituality is not religion. It's a one-on-one relationship with you and God. And if you don't believe in God, then you and the universe, whatever you believe in, there's a book. Go read it. Right? But you got to get connected and get centered with your maker. All right. So number 2 is forgiveness. Now, this one y'all going to have a hard time with. I know. Ms. Cunningham, I can't. You don't know what they did to me. You don't know what he did to me. You don't know what she did to me. You have to forgive everybody that's ever hurt you in your entire life. You are walking around with this full bucket and your back is bent right now. And until you forgive people, you're never going to be able to stand tall. And you're going, I don't know why. This week I worked 5 days, but really like 3 of them, I ain't really do nothing. I had 15 things on my list. I only did 2. I don't know why I'm like this. I don't know what's going on. I just can't get going. Right? So we have to forgive people. And once we forgive them, we stand a little taller. So I actually wrote 2 books over here that my wife is so graciously selling for me today. And in those books, it gives you the letters, exactly what letters to write and the wording to use so that you can finally shed that stuff. Now, I need you to understand that. So let's say it's your father. He walked away and he's not in your life and he raised a whole nother family across town, across the world, got you all mad and they got my daddy and all this kind of stuff, right? I ain't got him. Even when I do see him, he's looking at them. I got it, right? I know this story very well. And so even though you forgive your father, but because you're still living in it, right? Sometimes you have to get restoration. So you have to have a conversation. You can forgive by yourself. But when you still are experiencing it, it's time for a conversation. And you cannot back down from the conversation. Well, he know I'm here. He know he should reach out to me. The phone works both ways, boo. Bro, the phone works both ways. Pick up the phone. You need his love just as much as he needs your love. Pick up the phone. Say, Pops, we need to talk. Some things that have been bothering me, we need to talk. And I just have to get this out. I ain't trying to disrespect you. I understand you're living your life, but I'm trying to live mine and I'm frustrated. And it keeps coming back to you. Well, boy, I ain't do all that. You got to let all that go. Pops, I hear you. Some of y'all laughing. You're like, either you said it or you had it said to you. I did what I had to do at the time. Little man. Pops, I ain't a little man no more. I'm 40. Right? You don't even know me no more. Since you left me and Mom when I was 15, you still think I'm 15, Pops? Yes. Yeah, don't get fired. Don't get fired up. Just come get the books. Well, I got you. Don't get fired up. Just come get the books. We got you, okay? Because I'm getting some people triggered up in here, right? Woo, okay. All right, I got it. I'm with you. I know this story. I'm around men a lot, especially in my fraternity, between my fraternity and 100 black men. We have these conversations. We have them on my podcast. Right? How men are not there for their children, but they're serving the entire neighborhood. They got youth groups and all this kind of stuff. That's them feeling guilty. I had them tell me, bro, you right. I feel guilty by not being able to connect with my son, so I help these other 15 kids in my neighborhood through my youth group. Heard it. I know what you're talking about. I know how you feel. So we got to fix it, though. We got to reconcile. I think I went a little too deep on that because the lady back here got fired up and I felt the need to go there. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Does that letter work for if you've already lost someone that you want?
Very good point. So he's saying, and I don't know if you're saying this exactly, but sometimes you're angry at your father, then he passes away. And you're like, okay, what am I going to do with this pain that I'm feeling? What am I going to do with this? It is in the letter. A father, a deceased parent and how to write that letter so that you can get that closure you need. So that is in the book as well. Okay? Any other questions before I move on? Yes, sir.
So when you forgive, like your father, right, and then you still, it's like doing like the exact same things over and over. Like you have a conversation and everything, and then you can still, like, what do you do?
So, great question. He says you forgive your dad and he still does the exact same thing. He got a full bucket, y'all. That's part of what I want you to understand. Not only am I talking about your bucket, but I'm talking about your mama's bucket, your daddy's bucket, your auntie and your uncle's bucket. Right? It's full, so they're going to act a certain way. So your dad may be in a depressed state, right? And so he don't really know how to reach out, or he feels like he's letting you down, and so I'll just wait for you to call. And then the other kids who are just like him normally, they will call, and he'll say, well, my other kids call, but y'all don't call, so y'all just deal what y'all got to deal with. Y'all call me when y'all ready. That's what he says, right? You'll reach out when you're ready, but you're angry, all of those kind of things. But he's broken. He's broken. He didn't come to this kind of presentation to understand what's going on and what broken. And so now his breaking is breaking you, and then guess what? You'll mess around and get depressed and break your child. You see where I'm going, why it's important to understand this information. That's why I've had 8 colleges I spoke to this month, and just on this very topic. Okay, so he said, he said, lower your expectations for your parents. So I would take that and say, accept them for who they are. Everybody's not perfect. Neither are you, right? And I tell you that most of the time we have the hardest time with our fathers who have an introverted engineering personality. He doesn't talk, don't say a whole lot. He stays in his head. He doesn't. That's the ones who we really struggle with, because when he was in his 20s, he was too busy in his head trying to figure out how to make a living with his talent, his sports talent, his drawing, his music, his whatever that was. He was trying to deal with in his 20s when he made you. And then he turned 30, met the woman of his dreams. They making $300,000-$400,000 a year, going on trips all over the world. And his 10-year-old son going, Pops, what about me? I said, y'all living a life over there, but what about me? So what we have to do is not lower our expectations, but we have to accept them for who they are. We have to accept them. So the apple, if you're looking at an apple, you can complain about the apple. You can say the apple has this weird little stem. You can say it has too many seeds in it, but it's still going to be the apple. Once you decide that that apple is perfect in your brain, then all of a sudden you're going to say, oh, this is a beautiful apple. And the apple never changed. You did. You changed how you viewed it. So change how you view your father or your mother or your uncle or whoever hurt you. Change how you view them, and then they'll automatically change, even though they didn't do anything different. Because what you're doing is you're taking control of your life. You're not letting the outside world control the inside. You are controlling the world around you. So when someone just like a parent or whatever is like, you need to be, okay, Mom, I hear you. Okay, what did you do? Okay, Mom, I heard you. All right. And can you get this? Oh yeah, Mom, I'll take care of that. Anything else, Mom? Now, why you always, nobody want to do all this stuff. Right? You're now taking control, even though you're respecting your mother, your father's wishes. You're now taking control. Okay, roger that. Yeah, I'll take care of it. Son, I need you to do. Okay, Mom, got it. Okay, Dad, yeah, no problem. But what we do is we get frustrated. Y'all always do this to me. Y'all leave me alone, Ma. Dad, I'm grown now. See, I done digress, y'all. Let me get back on this. How much time do I have, by the way? Let's make sure. 30 minutes? 32. Okay, so it's 11 o'clock. 10:58. So we're actually doing good then. But y'all got me going deep. That's my seminar, right? This is a speech. All right. Number 3 is counseling. Remember what Grandma said, what goes on in the house stays in the house. And that's why black people don't go to counseling. Because we are taught to shut our mouths. We're taught to deal with it. Don't you go on that man's job and say all that stuff. You're going to get you fired. And you ain't going to be able to feed your family. Shut your mouth. Right? Don't you go back in the 1800s. Don't you go out there and avenge your little sister's death with the master. He going to kill your son. I can't lose you too. Shut your mouth. Let it go, son. But mama, son, let it go. Shut your mouth. And we've been shutting our mouths for 300 years. That's why we don't go to therapy. The other reason we don't go to therapy, and I'm not saying I'm not 100% to go, because I know some people in here have been to therapy. How many of y'all have had at least 10 sessions of therapy? Good. That's awesome. That's better than the last time I was in this room. Right? That is awesome. You got to deal with this stuff. We can't go back to the old way of thinking. Every time I lose somebody who I care about, I go to therapy. Every time. So if a friend of mine died last year in January, his name is Dr. Jackson. He was a professor at PHSC, and he passed away last year suddenly at 56. And we were co-hosting one of the podcasts, so I talked to him twice a week. And he passed away suddenly on Monday night, and I got the call. Tuesday morning, I was calling the VA hospital. I need therapy. What's going on, Chief Cunningham? Well, I just lost a good friend, and I know it's gonna bother me, and I need to deal with it right now. I need to empty my bucket now before I punch somebody in the face, right? Or before I end up on the couch with my blue blanket on, left hand in potato chips, right hand on the remote control, and I can't tell you what I've been watching. It's been watching me. Depression sets in. So you empty your bucket as soon as you experience something negative in your life like that. So I don't play with my mental health. You're like, well, it seemed like you were perfected. No, I need somebody to tell me what I got going on in my head right now. Well, Chief Cunningham, sounds like your heart and your head is clashing, and that's when your emotions start to come out. Because your heart is saying, but I just talked to him 2 days ago. Then your head is saying, but that's what death is. It's final. It comes very quickly. It's not always announced. And so now my head and my heart are battling. This is what my therapist is telling me. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm feeling better now. And I'll do maybe one more session, and then I'm good. And then 4 months later, I lose a good friend from the military. I'm back in therapy again. That time, I think I needed 1, and I was good. And then I used to be the vice president of the Urban League in Pinellas County in St. Pete. And the president is my fraternity brother, and he passed away suddenly. And so I'm back in counseling again. 1 or 2 sessions, then I'm good. I just don't play with it. My family expects me to always be on, not sitting in the corner with my blue blanket on, sipping on some cognac, right? With a cigar, whatever. That's not my thing. My thing is just simply, get the chips and chocolate or some ice cream and the remote control, right? But at some point, I got to rip that blue blanket off. I got to stop the story that I'm telling myself in my head that, everything happened so bad to me. I don't know, my life is just so terrible. I have to stop telling myself that and tell myself, or if I can't think of it, have somebody in your corner like a spouse that tells you you are a king. And God put you on this earth to change the world. And you're like, yeah, baby, that's right. I'm a king. Sometimes we have to be reminded. Yes, ma'am. go talk to the pastor, what we've been doing for 300 years. Just go talk to pastor. Pastor, you know, I'm just dealing with some stuff, pastor. We need to talk. Go ahead. Okay. Okay. So an option for you is there's a community, like for instance, most of you are all in college, right? That's why you're here, right? So for the college folks, you have counseling that's offered for free on your campuses. Especially now, everybody recognizes that mental health is huge, right? You guys, this is my 4th time speaking. You guys are my biggest crowd, right? Mental health is huge. And I've been talking about mental health every time, and then finally it actually made the schedule because we got to deal with our mental health, right? And so the colleges have free counseling. Community, you can look it up sometime or go to some of your community organizations like the Urban League. They can point you to free counseling. But stop using your friends and family as your counselor. It's not fair to them, right? You're dumping on them, and so they want to be your friend. But every time they always got to be your counselor. And it's just not fair, so go get your therapist so that you and your friend can really enjoy each other, and that person doesn't have to be your therapist. Did you say journaling? Right. Yes, sir.
You said before that when you lost old friends, you went to therapy every time. How do you know that you are good?
So it depends on. He wants to know if you've lost somebody. How do you know when you're good? When you're like, okay, I just needed 1 or 2 sessions and I'm good. Normally, if you can get back to your normal activities. So whatever you normally do, for me, I'm at my computer 8 to 10 hours a day sometimes, right? And so if I can't sit at that computer, I ain't good. If I got to be on the couch and take breaks, every 2 hours, I'm not good. So I want to be, back into my old self again. That's how you know. And then you listen for the people who care about you. If some people look at you and go, baby, you need to go see somebody. You're looking sad. Your frequency is way down. I need you to get your frequency up, right? I know you just lost your cousin, and I need you to go talk to somebody. That's how you know. Does that make sense? All right. So journaling or art, right? Write a book, write a poem. Pressure make a pipe burst, and if we hold all this stuff in, we will eventually burst. So it's important that we go ahead and write. And if you just like to draw, you can actually, draw or paint a picture of your life. Okay? All right, before I give you the last one, I need you to pull out your phones. I need you to pull out your phones and go to this QR code and take a quick survey. It'll take you 60 seconds. So as you're filling out the survey, it's important if you can put some notes in there, because it'll let the organizers know, that, because I've had some people say this presentation should be on the main stage, right? You can say those kinds of things on the survey, and I can get that back to the organizers. Yes.
Is that a question referring back to frequency? What if you see that your partner's frequency is low and you're trying to raise it despite all your best efforts, they still feel down and are actually adamant or actively refusing to not raise their frequency?
So the question is, what happens when you have a partner that just refuses all of this stuff that we're talking about? They refuse to raise their frequency. They refuse to do the work, right? They just like being sad. Look, I told you when I met you that, there's about twice a week, I'm just going to get in my little space and I'm just going to go in my room and I won't come out for 4 hours and just leave me be. Right? That's not healthy. right? So that's why the books, right? Maybe sitting down and saying, hey, for my birthday, I just want you to sit down and read these few pages of this book with me, right? I don't want you to get me no gift. I want you to just sit down with me and go through some of this stuff in this book and see if it's maybe something that will help you, right? Because trust me, for your birthday, you would prefer, instead of some new tennis shoes, you would prefer to have your partner at a high frequency. I'm telling you, you can get anything once your frequency is high, and I mean anything. Okay, yes. So therapy is just one solution. Therapy is a 20% solution, right? You still have other things out there, right? So those other 4 things, which are free, it won't cost you a dime, to start to do these other things that's going to make you feel better. So you can start there, you know, even the reminder of self-care. You know, hey, why don't you, stuff, what do you do that makes you just come alive? For my wife, it's listening to T.D. Jakes or Joel Osteen or Bishop Bronner out of Atlanta putting it on the TV and listening to those sermons. And she's like, her whole spirit everything just rises up when she hears a good word, right? And I'll say to her, honey, have you heard a word today? You might want to turn on Bishop. Yes. Okay, so he's asking, what if, talking about forgiveness. So what happens if he did something to someone else? And he said, will you please forgive me? And maybe he or she doesn't forgive you. What do? Right? I always tell people that whenever you fall in love, they fell in love with you for a reason. Somewhere down the line you change. Just go back to who you used to be, right? If you were happy-go-lucky, y'all were going to the beach, y'all were taking trips, and then you stopped, and you messed up, you better go back to the basics and let them fall back in love with you again. And I used to do that in our marriage. We'd be at our fifth year marriage or 6th year. She's like, honey, I'm just not feeling the marriage right now. You're just not the same person. I said, okay, I'm an action kind of guy. I'm gonna go back to basics. That means I had to go back to Victoria's Secrets. Spend a little money there, like I did when I met her, right? I had to go back to doing those things that I used to do, those walks in the park. We would go over to this beautiful campus here called University of Tampa, and we would just walk around and hold hands in the beginning. Hey, it's time to go back over there again. Let's go out to the beach and take some cards out to the beach, some 3x5 cards, and write down, no matter what, we will stay together. We will, raise our grandchildren or support our grandchildren. Our kids don't like us saying raise our grandchildren. Dad, we can raise our own children. Okay, son, support the grandchildren. And yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
What do you say, what do you suggest to those who may have a hard time trusting a therapist?
So I want you to understand, when you go to a therapist, my therapist is a white female, by the way. Okay, so I'm not expecting my therapist to understand the struggle, right? That's not what I'm going for. I mean, if you're going for somebody to understand the struggle, then you might want to get a black therapist, but that's not everybody's case, okay? So when you go to a therapist, they understand our thoughts, and they're just going to help us kind of guide us through that. And then we'll go, oh, that makes sense. Now all of a sudden we're not so offended like we were when we walked in by the person who hurt us. We're not so guarded. We're not, so that's what happened. They're just kind of there to relax us a little bit and allow us to get it out. That's the other thing, so we're not holding it in. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so what if you did something and you can't forgive yourself? Well, how long do you want to pay for that? You already paid for it, so you got to let that go. You know, I did this, it was terrible. I did some things, terrible, but I had to forgive myself. I had to ask my wife for forgiveness, I had to ask my children for forgiveness, and I had to ask myself for forgiveness. And then I'm like, okay, I done paid for that. Oh, did I pay for it? Right? I paid for it. So now let's move on. That is not who I am at the core of who I am. That was a poor choice that I made. Okay, so yes, you have to forgive, and that's in the book too. How to forgive yourself. Not that I'm trying to sell books, but I ain't got but 5 minutes. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again for pointing to the professional aspect of seeing a therapist. There's a distinct difference. Somebody you trust and your therapist. And
Yes.
it is as much an art as it is a science. The way that therapists practice is also research-based. They're going to give you so much more information. It's systemic. What you explained in terms of, I think you said your father died in a racing accident
Yes.
2 weeks before you were born.
Yes.
So, like the science and epigenetics and how trauma passes through the placenta into the body from what our mothers and our grandmothers have gone through shows up in our lives, and sometimes it didn't happen to us, but it's passed down to us, and we don't even know it exists like that. A therapist's gonna help you find it.
Amen.
Cover that. Your friend, your mama, your cutting them, probably ain't gonna find it. It's good to talk to, but that's the difference.
Do we have any therapists in the room? Please stand. Please stand. Give them a hand, by the way. Please stand. Stand up. Stand up, therapists. Come on. Stand up. And so you may want to see them, have a conversation. You see them in the hallway. You see them eating lunch by themselves. Go sit down and eat some lunch. Now, keep in mind, I am not a therapist. I am a life coach. Therapy helps you deal with your past. I help you craft a better future. Okay, so when you sit with me, we're talking about your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendships, your fun, and your frequency. And I'm teaching you how to find balance in all of those. But I will help you identify what you need to be talking about with your therapist. But you go talk about that with your therapist. Right? Your dad died when you were 10, now you're 50. Okay, that 10-year-old boy is still in there saying, hey, I just want to talk about my dad. Physically, you're 50. Emotionally, you're 10. Now go and let the therapist grow you up. All right? Number 5, purpose. Purpose has nothing to do with you and everything to do with why is somebody else's life better because I live. That's purpose, right? What does that look like? That could be, tutoring kids, working with seniors, coaching youth sports, feed the homeless. What we don't realize is when we give of ourselves, it makes us feel better about our own mental health, right? That's why teachers do the work that they do and have to put up with y'all, right? Teacher, y'all seen what the teachers in high school and middle school put up with. They're doing that because that's their purpose. That's actually helping their mental health, believe it or not, because they're giving back to other people, all right? So here I just basically break down that you have the 4 areas that cause emotional pain and the 5 steps to emotional wellness, or the 5 spigots, right? And so, but every time something on the left happens, if it happens tomorrow, I'm going through all 5 steps again. Every time you experience parental abandonment, loss of a loved one, trauma, or rejection, you got to go through all 5 steps once again. Okay? Change your routine and you will change your mindset and you will change your life. So now we'll talk about mindset in about 1 minute. You got to change your mindset by changing your routine. When I wake up in the morning, I have a routine, right? My wife and I, we get on the floor, we pray. Then I give her some sugar, and then I go into my office. Now I'm going to pull up my vision board where I actually have colored pictures of what my life will look like in 10 years. the house, the cars, the relationships, the big stages that I want to speak on. All of that is on my vision board, and I'm looking at it, and I actually feel like I already have it. So I'm doing a vision board thing. I'm doing the affirmations, right? So I'm, like I said, I pray, do my affirmation, and then I go work out. Mind, body, spirit. That's what I do every day. So I change my routine to make sure that I'm going to have a great day. I'm making sure, not just guessing, I hope the day is going to be a great day. When I do this, I'm energized. I know I'm going to have a great day. Now, let me say something about visualizations real quick. It's important for you to sit down in the morning in your quiet space, close your eyes, and visualize a perfect life in the next 20 years. And make sure everybody who you visualize is 20 years older. So if I got a 6-year-old grandson, he's 26, and he's running my business. So if he's running my business, I don't let his parents talk to him crazy, like, you mess with my CEO now, stop that, right? Because I visualize the future, so that makes me act as such right now as if it's already happening, or I'm planning for it. So visualize your life and do it every day. What does your life look like? I'm 54, I can visualize myself 20 years from today and tell you what everything's gonna look like, right? So that's why that's very important. Body, do your exercise, limit your sugar. Y'all need to stop all that cookies and ice cream and all that stuff y'all be eating, talking about, I don't know why my belly look like this. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right? Get rid of all that sugar. Drink a lot of water and take your vitamins, all right? And I mentioned the law of attraction and the law of frequency. The Secret, I watch that movie probably twice a week. Okay, it changes my mindset because I have so much negative stuff I have to get over from my childhood that I have to put new stuff in my brain every day to offset all the ugly from the past, from the childhood. All right, any questions? I got 5 minutes of questions. Yes.
Where would you learn or looking to
So the book called The Secret. There's also a guy named Bob Proctor. He recently passed away, but he's got videos all out on YouTube. So Bob Proctor and the movie The Secret is on. You can find it on YouTube, so you don't have to pay to watch it. And then there's another one called Beyond the Secret. Those Bob Proctor, Beyond the Secret, and The Secret. You'll learn about frequency. You'll learn about law of attraction. And when you get on that road, you understand how to make that change in your life, exactly what to do. Because when you leave here, you're going to remember about 50% of what I said, maybe 40. But when you become a student of it, then that's when your life begins to change. Yes. Okay, we'll come back to you. Oh.
What do you do when you have your thoughts and your vision, and you want to protect those from certain people? How do you protect your vision and try to do?
What God has for you is for you. So when you put it out there and you think somebody's going to steal it, that's the wrong energy. Is that what you're talking about?
Like kill it, like try to kill it.
Oh, try to kill it. Well, we have to remember that when God gives us a vision for our lives, He didn't give that to her. So she's going to say, what you talking about? You want to do what? You want to be a doctor? You want to be a surgeon? What? No, you can't do that. How would she know? She doesn't know what God has planted in you. So nobody can come along, not even your spouse, and steal that unless you let them steal it. But when God implants it into you, that He gave you that vision, not the other person, right? But if you can clearly articulate that vision to the people you love, then they can ride right beside you and say, I'm gonna help you get that vision, baby, because you're so smart. You're a king, you're a queen, right? That's what you want. Somebody to support you, right? And so, does that answer your question? Okay, yes.
That was probably, you mentioned 3 ways to get your mind off of negative aspects.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, what
So the problem is reoccurring. Is it a person? Like you go to work and your boss is always on you? So you can understand that your boss has a bucket that is probably full, and maybe develop some compassion for them, right? Like, okay, he gonna come in here, he gonna say this, he gonna do that, and he gonna tell me he need it now. Okay, I'll just give it to him now. Okay, and you stick your chest out and you take control. Okay, yeah, no problem, boss. Anything else you need? Yeah, I'll take care of that. But if we start doing this, you're letting the other person win. You're letting the outside world control your inside world. You are in control. You and God, you got this thing called life. You cannot let the outside world control your inside world. So you have, during the studying the stuff that I've been talking about, the secret, the law of attraction, it teaches you that you are in control, you and God, and you push out what you want to happen today. Not wait for things out there to happen that will now control your emotions. You don't want to do that. Yes, how many?
Hi, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's just a classic. If you really want to become a student and then a master of mindset, Think and Grow Rich is a wonderful place to gain knowledge from that.
And marrying somebody with some sense, that's important. I'm trying to tell y'all. I got one hand way back here, and I'll come back up. Yes. Yeah, switch it. Remember I was doing all this? Yeah. So when you do something silly, when you're triggered, first of all, when that door that's in your brain and all these doors are open and you're triggered, right? When you trigger it, it's going to trigger an emotion too. And if you don't want that, if you're not trying to figure out how to fix it, then the information or the trigger is no use to you. So switch it. Switch to something else. So when you do something silly, it'll take that memory away, and then you can keep going. Yes. Okay, yes.
So, out of when it comes down to any physical things that hold you back, how do you basically turn that more into a strength than a weakness?
So the first thing I think of is people who were born with no arms and who become millionaires. Stevie Wonder, who born, blind, and he became a millionaire songwriter. I just think of the people who have taken their handicap and built something from that, right? When I was in school, I graduated with a 2.0, and y'all in here listening to me. Just saying, right? Just saying, right? So people used to say to me, "You talk too much." Now I get paid handsomely to talk. So whatever people are picking at you about, whatever you feel is actually a deficit, that is what makes you original, and that's where you can take that to millions, as long as you're serving other people with it. So whatever your handicap is, whatever it is you're struggling with, there's probably 10 million people struggling with it too, and probably willing to pay you $200 to learn how not to struggle with it. How much is that? $2 billion. And something you said in that statement, it reminded me of something else I'll say, but as we close on out. Safe landing. You guys ever heard that term, safe landing? Right? When I'm hurting and I go to my wife, I need a safe landing. I need her to say, "Come on, baby, put your head right here. Let me rub your head. I didn't get my promotion. Come on. Nah, well, you ain't need to be working for them no way. You know how they are. That is not a soft landing, right? I had one of my clients. His best friend passed away, and he was struggling. His best friend, he's 32. His best friend from middle school passed away a drug overdose, fentanyl overdose, and he went to see her in the hospital, and then they pulled the plug about 2 hours later. He went home, sad, and he says, "Babe," to his wife. And his wife said, "Well, she was on drugs. That's what happened. Fentanyl." Is that what he needed at the time? Now, maybe 2 weeks after her funeral, the wife could have gave that kind of logic, but at that moment, he needed a safe landing, right? And so the safe landing is, "Baby, I don't know what you're going through, but come here. Let me just rub your head. Just going to be okay. Because when he didn't get a safe landing, guess what? He went looking for one. Luckily, he called his mama. That's a good safe landing, right? Right? Call your mama for a safe landing. Call your coach for a safe landing, you know. But in his case, he didn't call his mama or his coach. He went to the bar and got drunk. Normally under high stress, his bar or his baseline is 2 drinks. Oh, I'm stressed, let me go have a couple of drinks. But under high stress, his baseline just doubled. What's your baseline under stress? And then when that brick comes, it's gonna double. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Find your safe space and make sure you are a safe space for others. Sometimes we lose friends because we didn't know how to be there for them when they needed a safe landing, a soft landing. They needed a soft landing and you didn't know how to be that for them. You gave them this logic stuff and they stopped talking to you. They blocked you. You weren't there for me. What do you mean? I was there for you. I told you. You know, that's what happened to people on drugs. What's the problem? Right? So find a soft landing and be a soft landing. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.